My sister thought they could steal my baby from me. I'm staring at my sister's phone screen, and my hands are shaking so badly I almost drop it. The text message thread with her husband Derek is right there in front of me, dated 3 days ago. Lawyer says we need more documentation. Got photos of the messy apartment today. Also that bruise on Emma's knee from when she fell, taking her to urgent care tomorrow to get it on record. Emma. My 3-month-old daughter Emma, who's currently napping in her crib 20 feet away, completely unaware that the aunt who's been helping me has been building a case to steal her. I scroll up with trembling fingers. There are dozens of messages going back weeks. Photos of my cluttered coffee table. Screenshots of my bank account when I left it open on my laptop. A detailed log of every time I've asked Rebecca to watch Emma so I could shower or grab groceries or just breathe for 5 minutes. Marcus thinks we have enough for CPS now, Derek wrote yesterday. Rebecca's been the primary caregiver most days anyway. Emma barely even cries when she's with you anymore. She knows who her real mom is. I'm going to be sick. This started 6 weeks ago when Rebecca showed up at my apartment with groceries and an offer to help. I was so grateful I cried. Being 22 with a newborn and no partner is exactly as impossible as everyone warned me it would be. When she offered to take Emma for a few hours each week so I could sleep, I thought I was the luckiest sister in the world. Rebecca's 31, married for 8 years, with a beautiful house in Westfield and a bank account that doesn't give her panic attacks. She's been trying to get pregnant for 4 years. I knew she was struggling with it, but I never imagined this. I keep reading, and each message is worse than the last. There's a detailed plan to call CPS this Friday, tomorrow, with concerns about neglect and unsafe living conditions. They've been researching emergency custody procedures. Rebecca's already set up the guest bedroom as a nursery. The social worker will see immediately that Emma's better off with us, she wrote to Derek. Sarah's apartment is barely 600 square feet, she's behind on rent, and she doesn't even have a crib, just that pack and play. We can give Emma everything. The pack and play cost me $180 at Target. It was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought, and I had to choose between that and groceries for a week. But it's safe, it's clean, and my daughter sleeps peacefully in it every single night. I set the phone down before I throw it across the room. Rebecca's in the kitchen making coffee like she owns the place, humming some cheerful tune while she plots to destroy my life. She came over this morning with more groceries and that same concerned sister act she's been perfecting for weeks. You look tired, honey, she'd said, taking Emma from my arms before I could protest. Why don't you go take a long shower? I'll watch her. I'd been so grateful. Again. Now I understand why she's always here. Why she insists on feeding Emma, changing her, taking her for walks. She's not helping me, she's replacing me. And documenting every second of it. Emma starts crying from the nursery, and I hear Rebecca's footsteps immediately heading toward the sound. My maternal instincts kick in like a punch to the gut. I've got her, I call out, moving fast. Not anymore, Rebecca. Not ever again. I reach Emma's crib just as Rebecca does, and for a moment we're both standing there, hands extended toward my crying daughter. The sight of my sister reaching for Emma with those same hands that typed out plans to steal her makes something primal and fierce rise up in my chest. I said I've got her, I repeat, scooping Emma up myself. Rebecca's face flickers with something annoyance. Before smoothing back into that practiced, concerned expression. Of course, Sarah. I just thought since you seemed so overwhelmed this morning. She trails off, but I hear the unspoken words. The ones that will probably end up in her next text to Derek. Subject showed signs of aggression and possessiveness when offered help with basic childcare. Emma settles against my chest, her cries fading to soft whimpers. She smells like a lavender baby soap I splurged on last week, $8 for a tiny bottle, but I wanted her to have something nice. Something that wasn't the generic brand of everything else in our life. Actually, Rebecca, I think we're good for today. I try to keep my voice steady, normal. Emma and I are going to take a nap together. Are you sure? I was hoping to take some photos of her in that cute outfit I bought. She's growing so fast. Rebecca's smile doesn't reach her eyes. I barely got to hold her today. Photos. More documentation for her case, probably. I think about that text thread, how many pictures of my daughter are already sitting in some lawyer's file with captions about failure to thrive under current guardian or whatever legal language they use to justify kidnapping? Maybe another time, I say, walking toward the front door with Emma still in my arms. The message is clear. Rebecca gathers her purse slowly, and I can practically see her mental notes being updated. Asterisk subject terminated visit abruptly. Showed signs of paranoia and social isolation, asterisk. Sarah, honey, are you feeling alright? You seem different today. The fake concern in her voice makes my skin crawl. 6 weeks of this. 6 weeks of thinking my sister was saving my life when she was actually planning to end it. I'm fine. Just tired. That's exactly what I'm worried about. Rebecca pauses at the door, her hand on the handle. You've been tired for months now. And Emma needs her mother. The words come out harder than I intended. Rebecca's mask slips for just a second, and I see something cold flash across her face. Of course she does. I just meant that every baby needs a stable environment, and if you're struggling. I'm not struggling. It's a lie, and we both know it. My bank account has $247 in it. There's a stack of unpaid bills on my kitchen counter that I've been ignoring for 2 weeks. The heating bill alone is $156, and winter's barely started. But I'm not drowning. Not the way Rebecca wants everyone to think I am. After she leaves, I deadbolt the door and slide the chain lock. Then I sit on my couch, the second-hand one with the stain on the left cushion that I cover with a throw blanket, and hold my daughter while my mind races. They're calling CPS tomorrow. Friday. Less than 24 hours from now. I need a lawyer, but lawyers cost money I don't have. I need evidence of what they're planning, but Rebecca's phone is gone now. I need character witnesses, but most of our family thinks Rebecca walks on water. Emma makes a soft cooing sound and grabs my finger with her tiny fist. Her grip is surprisingly strong. I'm her mother. I'm all she's ever known, all she's ever needed. And I'll be damned if I let them take her without a fight. The first thing I do is call out sick from work. Jennifer, my manager at the diner, sounds annoyed when I tell her I have a family emergency. Sarah, you've already missed 2 shifts this month. I can't keep holding your position if. I understand. I'll make it up next week. I hang up before she can say anything else. My job at Mel's Diner pays $12 an hour plus tips, and losing those Friday lunch shifts will cost me about $80 I desperately need. But none of that matters if I don't have Emma. I spend the next hour going through my apartment with fresh eyes, seeing it the way Rebecca's been seeing it. The way a CPS worker will see it tomorrow. It's not that bad. Really, it isn't. But it's not good either. The kitchen sink has dishes from yesterday because Emma was fussy and I chose holding her over cleaning. There are baby clothes drying on a rack in the living room because the laundromat costs $8 per load and I can't afford to go twice a week. The bathroom needs scrubbing, and there's a pile of unopened mail on the counter that I've been too scared to look at. But Emma's corner is perfect. Her pack-and-play has clean sheets. Her bottles are sterilized. Her clothes are washed and folded. Her diaper supplies are organized in bins I bought from the dollar store. I take pictures of everything with my phone, the good and the bad. I want my own documentation. Then I call the only person I can think of who might help, my friend Kayla from high school. She's in her 2nd year of law school now, and even though we've barely talked since Emma was born, she's the only person I know with any legal knowledge. Sarah? Oh my god, hi. How's the baby? I start crying the moment I hear her friendly voice. The whole story spills out Rebecca's fake help, the text messages, the CPS call planned for tomorrow. Kayla listens without interrupting, and I can hear her typing notes on her laptop. Okay, first things first, she says when I finish. You need a family law attorney immediately. I know someone who does sliding scale fees. But Sarah, if they really call CPS tomorrow, you need to be ready. She walks me through what a CPS visit looks like. They'll inspect the apartment, ask questions about Emma's care, check for safety hazards. They'll want to see Emma's medical records, her feeding schedule, her sleeping arrangements. The good news is that taking a baby from a biological parent requires significant evidence of actual harm or neglect, Kayla explains. The bad news is that your sister sounds like she's been thorough. After we hang up, I clean like my life depends on it. Because it does. I'm washing dishes when my phone buzzes with a text from my mom. Rebecca mentioned you seemed upset today. Everything okay with Emma? My hands freeze in the soapy water. Of course Rebecca's already started the narrative. Poor Sarah, struggling so much, concerning behavior, maybe not coping well with motherhood. I text back, everything's fine. Just tired. But I can see how this works now. How carefully Rebecca's been playing this. She's probably been having worried conversations with our parents for weeks. Planting seeds about my ability to cope, my financial situation, my emotional state. Tomorrow's CPS call won't come out of nowhere, it'll be the logical conclusion to weeks of her expressing concerns to anyone who'll listen. Emma wakes up hungry, and as I feed her, I make a decision. I can't just wait for them to destroy me. I need to know exactly what I'm fighting against. Which means I need to get back into Rebecca's phone somehow. And I think I know exactly how to do it. I wait until 7 p.m. to put my plan into action. That's when Rebecca always calls Derek on his drive home from work, a routine I've observed dozens of times over the past 6 weeks without realizing I was gathering intelligence on my own sister. I bundle Emma into her car seat, my hands steadier now that I have a purpose. The drive to Rebecca's house in Westfield takes 18 minutes, and I use every one of them to rehearse what I'm going to say. Their driveway is empty, Derek won't be home until 7:30, and Rebecca's Honda is gone. Perfect. But I know where they hide their spare key, because Rebecca told me about it last month when she was complaining about Derek always forgetting his keys. Under the fake rock by the hydrangeas, she'd laughed. So original, right? Right now, I'm grateful for Derek's lack of creativity. Emma stays asleep in her carrier as I let myself into their house. The alarm system beeps its warning, and I punch in Rebecca's birthday, 0724, because she uses it for everything. The beeping stops. I've been in this house dozens of times, but tonight it feels different. Hostile. The pristine white kitchen with its granite countertops looks like a museum exhibit titled What Emma Deserves. The living room with its expensive sectional sofa and 65-inch TV seems designed to mock my secondhand furniture and 32-inch screen from Walmart. But it's the guest bedroom that makes my blood run cold. Rebecca wasn't lying in those texts. She really has converted it into a nursery. There's a white crib with a mobile of dancing elephants. A changing table stocked with premium diapers, Honest brand, $45 a box. A bookshelf filled with board books still in their packaging. A rocking chair with a cream-colored cushion positioned perfectly near the window. On the dresser, there's a silver picture frame with an ultrasound photo inside it. For a moment, I think it's from one of Rebecca's fertility treatments. Then I look closer and see Emma R. Chen printed at the bottom. It's Emma's ultrasound. From my 20-week appointment. The appointment Rebecca insisted on attending because she wanted to support me. They've already changed Emma's last name to match Derek's. In their minds, she's already theirs. I find Rebecca's laptop open on the kitchen counter, password protected. But I know this one too, Emma Rose 2024, her dream baby name combined with the year she planned to finally become a mother. I'd helped her pick it out during one of our sister talks back when I thought we were on the same side. What I find in her browser history makes my stomach drop. Legal aid websites. Emergency custody procedures, Massachusetts. Proving unfit mother court. CPS investigation timeline. But it's the document folder labeled Emma's future that shows me just how deep this goes. Screenshots of my social media posts where I look tired. Photos of my apartment from different angles, all focused on the messiest corners. A detailed log of every time I've asked for help, every time I've seemed overwhelmed, every time Emma has cried in my arms. There's even a Word document titled Incident Report November 15th, 24, yesterday, describing how I appeared agitated and paranoid when Rebecca offered to help with Emma. How I abruptly terminated her visit and showed concerning possessive behavior. She wrote that before she even left my apartment. She'd already documented my reaction to her stealing my baby before I even had the reaction. The front door opens. Derek? Why are the lights on? Rebecca's voice carries from the entryway. Panic floods my system. She's not supposed to be back yet. Emma's carrier is sitting right here on their kitchen counter. Rebecca's laptop is open to her Emma's future folder. I'm standing in their house holding printed copies of their conspiracy to destroy me. Oh honey, you're home early. I call out, trying to sound casual while frantically closing windows on her computer. I brought Emma by to see you. Rebecca appears in the kitchen doorway, her face cycling through confusion, surprise, and something that might be calculation. Sarah? How did you? The door was locked. The spare key, I say, gesturing toward the door like it's the most natural thing in the world. You told me about it, remember? Emma was being fussy, and I thought maybe a change of scenery would help. It's a terrible lie, and we both know it. Emma's been sleeping peacefully in her carrier this entire time. Rebecca's eyes move from me to her open laptop to the papers in my hand. What are those? Oh, these? Just some printouts about infant sleep schedules. I was doing research. I fold the papers, copies of her incident reports and legal research, and slip them into my purse. Your internet's faster than mine. The silence stretches between us. Two sisters who know exactly what the other is doing but can't say it out loud yet. Well, Rebecca says finally, since you're here, why don't you stay for dinner? Derek should be home any minute. She wants me to stay. She wants to document this too, how I broke into their house, used their computer, brought Emma over unannounced. More evidence of my instability. But I have what I came for. Proof of their plan. Documentation of their documentation. Actually, Emma and I should get going. It's almost her bedtime. Of course, Rebecca says sweetly. You're so good about her schedule. As I buckle Emma's carrier back into my car, I see Rebecca watching from the window. She's already got her phone out, probably texting Derek about my break-in. But I'm texting too. Sending photos of everything I found to Kayla, to my own email, to a cloud storage account I create on the spot. Tomorrow, CPS might come for my daughter. But tonight, I know exactly what I'm fighting. The drive back to my apartment feels like the longest 18 minutes of my life. Every red light, every slow driver ahead of me feels like time I don't have. Emma sleeps peacefully in her car seat, oblivious to the fact that I might have just made everything worse by breaking into her aunt's house. My phone starts buzzing before I even get inside. 3 missed calls from Derek, 2 from Rebecca, and a text from my mom. Rebecca's worried about you. She says you let yourself into their house? Call me. I don't call her back. Instead, I spread everything I printed from Rebecca's computer across my kitchen table like evidence in a crime scene. Because that's what this is, a crime. Maybe not legally, but morally. They're planning to steal my child, and I have proof. But as I read through their notes again, a horrible realization settles in my stomach. They're not just building a case that I'm unfit, they're building a case that they're better. And looking at this objectively, the way a judge or social worker might, their argument isn't wrong. Derek makes $78,000 a year as an engineer. I make maybe $18,000 if I'm lucky with tips. They own a 4-bedroom house in Westfield with excellent schools. I rent a 1-bedroom apartment in a building where Mrs. Patterson from 2B calls the landlord every time Emma cries past 9 p.m. They have health insurance, a savings account, and a college fund already started in Emma's name. I saw the bank statements in Rebecca's folder. I have Mass Health, $247 in checking, and a growing pile of bills I'm scared to open. The cruel irony is that Rebecca's help over the past 6 weeks has actually made their case stronger. Every time she watched Emma so I could work an extra shift or run errands, she was documenting how I relied on others for basic childcare duties. Every time I gratefully accepted groceries or baby supplies, she was building evidence of my inability to provide adequate resources. My phone buzzes with another text from Rebecca. Sarah, Derek, and I are concerned after tonight. Maybe we should all sit down and talk tomorrow? We want to help. Tomorrow. The day they plan to call CPS. I'm staring at the message when someone pounds on my door. Hard, urgent knocks that make Emma startle in her bouncy seat. Sarah. Open up. Derek's voice, angry in a way I've never heard before. I look through the peephole and see both of them standing in my hallway. Derek's face is red, his jaw clenched. Rebecca stands slightly behind him, her expression unreadable. I know you're in there, Derek continues. We need to talk about what happened tonight. Emma starts crying, probably picking up on my stress. I lift her from the bouncy seat, and she settles against my chest immediately. That perfect fit that every mother knows, the way your child's body curves into yours like a missing puzzle piece. Just a minute, I call out, but Derek pounds again. Now, Sarah. Mrs. Patterson's door opens across the hall. She peers out with her usual disapproving frown, taking in the scene. Everything all right out here? Perfect. More witnesses to my unstable situation and disruptive lifestyle. Fine, Mrs. Patterson. Sorry about the noise. She retreats, but I know she's listening. Everything tonight will probably end up in Rebecca's next report. I open the door with Emma still in my arms, keeping the chain lock engaged. You don't need to shout. You're scaring the baby. You broke into our house, Derek says, his voice tight with controlled anger. You used Rebecca's computer. You took documents that don't belong to you. I used your spare key to visit my sister. Since when is that breaking in? Since you did it when we weren't home and went through our private files, Rebecca says quietly. She looks tired, almost sad. Sarah, honey, we're trying to help you. But this behavior, it's exactly what we've been worried about. And there it is. My reaction to discovering their plot is now evidence of why the plot was necessary. What documents are you talking about? I ask, even though we all know I'm lying. The printouts in your purse, Derek says. The photos you took of our computer screen. Don't pretend you didn't. Emma whimpers, sensing the tension. I bounce her gently, and she quiets. Such a small thing, but it feels like proof that I know her better than anyone. I think you should leave, I say. We're calling the police, Derek replies. And our lawyer. What you did tonight was illegal, and it shows exactly the kind of judgment that makes you unfit to. To what? The words explode out of me. Unfit to what, Derek? Rebecca puts a hand on his arm. Derek, don't. But he's too angry to stop. Unfit to raise Emma. She deserves better than this. The hallway goes dead quiet except for Emma's soft breathing. Finally, I have it. A direct admission of what they're planning, set in front of Mrs. Patterson's door where I know she's listening. Thank you, I say softly, for being honest. I close the door and turn all the locks. They call the police anyway. 2 officers show up at my door at 11:47 p.m. Officer Martinez, who looks like she has kids of her own, and Officer Brooks, younger and clearly annoyed to be dealing with what he probably sees as family drama. Emma's been asleep for an hour, and their knocking wakes her up immediately. Ma'am, we have a report of breaking and entering, Officer Martinez says when I answer the door with Emma crying in my arms. Your sister and brother-in-law say you entered their home without permission and stole documents. I used their spare key to visit my sister. They told me where it was. Emma's cries are getting louder, and I rock her automatically. And I didn't steal anything. Rebecca appears behind the officers, Derek next to her. She's changed into a nicer shirt and put on makeup, preparing to look like the responsible sister, I realize. Sarah, please, Rebecca says, her voice carrying that perfect note of concerned exhaustion. Just give back what you took, and we can forget this happened. Officer Brooks checks his notepad. What exactly did she take? Personal documents from our home computer, Derek says. Private family information. What kind of documents? Officer Martinez asks, looking between us. This is the moment. Derek and Rebecca exchange glances, and I can see them calculating. If they tell the truth that I took evidence of their plan to steal my baby, they expose themselves. If they lie, they risk the police finding out later. Financial information, Rebecca says finally. And some family planning documents. It's vague enough to sound serious without admitting what they were really planning. Ma'am, Officer Martinez turns to me. Do you have documents that belong to them? Emma's still crying, and Mrs. Patterson has opened her door again. 2 other neighbors peer out from down the hall. This is exactly what Rebecca wanted, a public scene showing my chaotic lifestyle and poor judgment. I have printouts of some things I found on their computer, I admit. But it's not stealing when it's about my own daughter. Your daughter? Officer Brooks looks confused. They're planning to take Emma from me, I say, keeping my voice steady even though my heart is racing. They've been documenting everything I do, building a case to call Child Protective Services. I found their files. The officers look at Derek and Rebecca. Rebecca's perfect mask slips for just a second long enough for Officer Martinez to notice. Is that true? She asks. We're concerned about Emma's welfare, Derek says carefully. Sarah's struggling as a single mother, and we've been trying to help, but her behavior tonight shows she might be having some kind of breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm protecting my child. From what? Officer Brooks asks. Before I can answer, Emma suddenly stops crying. She's looking up at me with those perfect blue eyes, and her tiny hand reaches up to touch my face. Such a small gesture, but it steadies me completely. From people who think they can take her because they have more money than I do. Officer Martinez's expression softens slightly. Look, this seems like a civil matter. Family court stuff, not criminal. But ma'am, she turns to me, if you took someone else's property, even family, you need to return it. What if that property is evidence of a crime they're planning to commit? What crime? Officer Brooks asks, clearly losing patience. I look at Rebecca, standing there in her perfect outfit with her perfect, concerned expression, and realize that anything I say will sound paranoid. Conspiring to make false reports to CPS isn't technically illegal until they actually do it. Planning to take someone's child through legal manipulation isn't a crime if they're working within the system. They've been so careful. So smart about this. Never mind, I say quietly. I'll return their documents. But as I go to my purse, I'm not grabbing the originals. I printed 2 copies of everything while they were pounding on my door. Rebecca gets the decoys, the real evidence stays with me. Here, I hand Derek a folder. Everything I printed. He flips through quickly, and I see relief flash across his face. He thinks he's won. The officers leave with warnings about family boundaries and suggestions that we all work this out like adults. Rebecca and Derek follow them, but Rebecca pauses at my door. Sarah, honey, it doesn't have to be like this. We love Emma too. We just want what's best for her. I know exactly what you want, I whisper back. After they're gone, I sit in my quiet apartment with Emma finally back asleep in my arms. It's almost 1 a.m. and I'm exhausted, but my mind won't stop racing. They're calling CPS in about 12 hours. I have a folder full of evidence that they planned it, but now they can claim I fabricated everything after breaking into their house. My credibility is shot. But I also have something they don't know about. When I was in their house tonight, before Rebecca came home, I did more than just print documents. I forwarded their entire Emma's Future folder to my email address, along with Derek's text message thread with someone named Marcus, their lawyer, apparently. Including the message Derek sent at 11:23 p.m. tonight, she knows about the CPS call. Move timeline up. Can you get someone out there first thing tomorrow morning? They're not waiting until Friday anymore. They're coming for Emma tomorrow. I wake up at 5:47 a.m. to Emma crying for her morning feeding, and for a split second everything feels normal. Then reality crashes back, they moved up the timeline. CPS could be here any minute. My hands shake as I warm Emma's bottle, and she picks up on my anxiety immediately. She's fussier than usual, arching her back and refusing to settle even after she's fed. It's like she knows something's wrong. Please, baby girl, I whisper, bouncing her gently. I need you to be good today. Please. But Emma's having none of it. She's crying that sharp, piercing cry that cuts right through you, and I can practically hear Mrs. Patterson making mental notes next door about the disruptive infant and stressed mother who can't calm her own child. At 7:15 a.m., I get a text from an unknown number. This is Marcus Chen, Derek Hoffman's attorney. We need to discuss Emma's situation before this escalates further. Can you meet this morning? I stare at the message. Chen, Derek's last name. Marcus must be his brother or cousin, which means this conspiracy goes even deeper into their family than I realized. They've got their own lawyer, someone with a personal stake in helping them win. I don't respond to Marcus. Instead, I call Kayla. Sarah? Jesus, it's 7 in the morning. They moved up the timeline. CPS is coming today, maybe this morning. I need that lawyer contact now. Kayla's instantly alert. Okay. Let me call Elena Rodriguez, she's the family law attorney I mentioned. But Sarah, if CPS shows up before we can get you representation, what do I do? Be cooperative but not overly helpful. Answer their questions honestly but don't volunteer extra information. And whatever you do, don't let them take Emma today. They'll need a court order for that unless there's immediate danger. At 8:33 a.m., there's a knock on my door. Not the aggressive pounding from last night, this is official, measured, professional. Through the peephole, I see a woman in her 40s with short brown hair and a kind but tired face. She's wearing a DCF badge, Department of Children and Families. Behind her stands a younger man with a clipboard and the unmistakable look of someone who's seen too much. Emma's finally quiet, sleeping in her bouncy seat after an hour of fussiness. I consider not answering, but that would only make things worse. Ms. Chen? The woman's voice is gentle but firm. I'm Linda Vasquez from DCF. We received some concerns about your daughter's welfare. Could we come in and talk? My heart hammers against my ribs. Can I see some identification? She holds up her badge, and the man behind her does the same. James Murphy, also DCF. What kind of concerns? I ask through the door. It would be better if we could discuss this inside. We're not here to take your daughter, we just need to do a wellness check. That's exactly what someone would say if they were here to take my daughter. I open the door, keeping the chain lock engaged. I'd prefer to talk out here. Linda's expression doesn't change, but I see her eyes catalog everything visible through the gap, my pajamas, Emma sleeping peacefully in the background, the clean living room I spent half the night organizing. Ms. Chen, we received reports that you may be struggling with caring for your infant. Additionally, there were concerns about your behavior last night entering someone's home without permission, possible paranoid episodes. Paranoid episodes. Rebecca's language, filtered through official channels. Who made these reports? I can't share that information. But multiple people have expressed concerns about your stability and your ability to provide adequate care for Emma. Multiple people. So it's not just Derek and Rebecca anymore. They've been recruiting others, probably telling carefully edited versions of last night's events to our parents, our relatives, maybe even neighbors. I'd like to call my lawyer, I say. Of course, that's your right. But Ms. Chen, if you're not hiding anything, there's no reason we can't resolve this quickly. We just need to see Emma, check your living situation, ask a few questions. Emma chooses that moment to wake up and start crying. Not her usual hungry cry, this is her tired, overstimulated wail that's impossible to ignore. Your daughter sounds distressed, James Murphy speaks for the first time. She's 3 months old. Babies cry. But Emma's cries are getting louder, more frantic. I can see Linda and James exchanging glances, another mark against me. Mother can't calm distressed infant. Please, Linda says. Let us come in so you can tend to your baby. We'll make this as quick as possible. I'm trapped. If I keep them out here while Emma screams, it looks like I'm prioritizing my own paranoia over her needs. If I let them in, I'm giving them access to judge every aspect of my life. Emma's cries reach that pitch that makes your teeth ache. I unlock the chain. The moment they're inside, everything changes. They're not just social workers anymore, they're investigators, cataloging evidence. Linda goes straight to Emma while James starts taking notes about my apartment. May I? Linda reaches toward Emma's bouncy seat. I can get her. But my hands are shaking again, and when I lift Emma, she doesn't settle immediately like she usually does. She's feeding off my anxiety, getting more worked up instead of calmer. Ms. Chen, when did Emma last eat? Linda asks, watching my unsuccessful attempts to soothe her. About 2 hours ago. She's just tired. Has she been crying a lot recently? We've had noise complaints. Mrs. Patterson. Of course. James is examining Emma's pack and play, checking the safety features. Is this where she sleeps? Yes. It meets all current safety standards. I finally get Emma to quiet down, but she's still fussy, making little whimpering sounds. We'll need to see her medical records, Linda says. And I have to ask about the incident at your sister's house last night. There it is. The real reason they're here. What about it? Breaking into someone's home, taking their property, that suggests some concerning judgment issues. Especially for a new mother under stress. I look down at Emma, who's finally starting to relax in my arms. Her little fingers curl around my thumb, and her breathing evens out. This tiny person who depends on me completely, who fits perfectly against my chest, who stops crying when she hears my heartbeat. They want to take her away from the only mother she's ever known because I'm not rich enough, not stable enough, not perfect enough. I didn't break in anywhere, I say quietly. I used a key my sister told me about to visit her house. And the only reason I looked at their computer was because I suspected they were planning exactly this. Planning what? James looks up from his notes. To take my daughter away from me. Linda and James exchange another look, the kind that says they've heard this before from paranoid parents who think everyone's conspiring against them. Ms. Chen, Linda's voice gets gentler, more careful. Sometimes new mothers experience anxiety that can feel overwhelming. It's very common. There are resources available to help. She thinks I'm having postpartum psychosis or some kind of breakdown. Every word I say to defend myself just confirms their narrative that I'm unstable. Emma's completely calm now, sleeping peacefully in my arms. But I can see it doesn't matter. They've already made up their minds. My phone rings at exactly 9:17 a.m., just as Linda starts asking about my support system. It's Elena Rodriguez, the lawyer Kayla contacted. Ms. Chen? I'm calling about your situation. Don't say anything specific with DCF present, but I need you to know I'm 20 minutes away, and you have the right to postpone this interview until I arrive. Linda's eyebrows raise when I mention my attorney is coming. Ms. Chen, having legal representation is certainly your right, but it might give the impression that you're being uncooperative. Or it might give the impression that I know my rights. James stops writing and looks at me with what might be newfound respect. We can wait 30 minutes for counsel to arrive, but if the delay seems designed to obstruct our investigation, it's not. I sit down with Emma still in my arms, trying to project calm confidence I don't feel. My lawyer will be here shortly. What I don't tell them is that Elena Rodriguez costs $400 an hour according to Kayla, and I have exactly $247 in my bank account. I have no idea how I'm going to pay her, but right now that's tomorrow's problem. At 9:23 a.m., my mom calls. Then my dad. Then Rebecca. I let them all go to voicemail, but Linda notices the constant buzzing. Popular morning, she observes. The voicemails paint a picture I should have expected. Mom sounds worried and confused. Honey, Rebecca says you had some kind of episode last night? And now there are social workers at your apartment? Please call me back. Dad's message is shorter, more frustrated. Sarah, what the hell is going on? Derek called this morning saying you broke into their house. Are you having problems we don't know about? But it's Rebecca's voicemail that makes my blood run cold. Sarah, I just heard that DCF is there. I'm so sorry, I never wanted it to go this far. Please call me. We can fix this together. Emma needs stability right now, and we all love her so much. She's already positioning herself as the reasonable sister who tried to help but was forced to take action. The reluctant hero who didn't want to call authorities but had no choice after my breakdown. Linda's watching my face as I listen to the messages. Family support is very important during investigations like this. Is your sister someone Emma spends time with? She used to be. What changed? Before I can answer, someone pounds on my door again. Heavy, aggressive knocking that makes Emma startle and whimper. Sarah. Open this door right now. Derek's voice, even angrier than last night. James moves toward the door. Are you expecting someone? That's my brother-in-law. The one whose house I allegedly broke into. The pounding continues. I know those DCF workers are in there. Sarah, you need to do what's right for Emma. Mr. Hoffman, Linda calls through the door. This is an official DCF investigation. Please step away from the premises. Like hell. That's my niece in there, and Sarah's clearly having some kind of breakdown. Someone needs to speak up for Emma. Emma starts crying again, startled by Derek shouting. As I rock her, trying to calm her down, I see Linda making notes. Asterisk child shows signs of stress in chaotic environment. Multiple family conflicts present. Asterisk. This isn't normal, I tell Linda desperately. My brother-in-law doesn't usually act like this. He's angry because I discovered their plan to take Emma. What plan specifically? James asks. I'm about to explain when Derek shouts through the door. Sarah forwarded private emails from our computer. She's been stalking us online, taking pictures of our house, making up crazy conspiracy theories. Every word is technically true but completely out of context. Without the full story, I sound exactly like the paranoid, unstable mother they're painting me as. She even brought Emma to our house at night when we weren't home, Derek continues. Used our spare key like she owns the place. This is escalating, and Emma's caught in the middle of Sarah's mental health crisis. Mental health crisis. Another phrase that will end up in their official report. Linda's phone buzzes with a text message. She glances at it, and her expression shifts slightly. Ms. Chen, I've just received some additional information about your situation. We may need to discuss emergency placement options for Emma while we complete our assessment. My world stops. Emergency placement? Temporary foster care. Just until we can ensure Emma's safety and complete a full evaluation of your home environment. You said you weren't here to take her. Plans can change based on new information and what we observed during our visit. Emma's crying harder now, picking up on my panic. Nothing I do calms her down, and I can see Linda interpreting her distress as evidence that I can't handle basic parenting tasks under pressure. Derek's still shouting outside, probably providing even more evidence of my chaotic lifestyle to anyone listening. And somewhere in this nightmare, Elena Rodriguez is stuck in traffic, racing to help a client who can't afford to pay her defend against people who have unlimited resources and home field advantage. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Stop fighting this. We can all work together for Emma's future. Marcus Chen, attorney. They're not just taking my baby. They're making me watch while they do it. At 9:41 a.m., Elena Rodriguez finally arrives, and I've never been so grateful to see a stranger in my life. She's younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes and an expensive-looking briefcase that gives me hope she knows what she's doing. I'm Ms. Chen's attorney, she announces to Linda and James, handing them her card. I need a few minutes to consult with my client before this proceeds any further. Derek's still outside making a scene, but Elena ignores him completely as she pulls me aside. Emma has finally quieted in my arms, exhausted from all the crying. Okay, here's where we stand, Elena whispers quickly. They can't remove Emma today without a court order unless there's immediate physical danger. But Sarah, I have to be honest, your situation isn't great. I got the files you sent to Kayla, and while their plan is morally reprehensible, they've been legally smart about it. What does that mean? It means proving they orchestrated this will be difficult. Right now, it looks like concerned family members who tried to help and then reluctantly contacted authorities when your behavior became erratic. My heart sinks. So they win? Not necessarily. But we need to be strategic. Let them complete their assessment today, be cooperative, and whatever you do, don't mention the conspiracy angle unless I bring it up. It makes you sound paranoid. But I have proof. Proof you obtained by entering their home without explicit permission and accessing their private computer. That cuts both ways. Linda approaches us. Ms. Rodriguez, we'd like to complete our wellness check. Your client can have legal representation present, but we do need to finish our assessment. Of course. But I want it clearly noted that Ms. Chen called for legal counsel and is cooperating fully with your investigation. For the next hour, they go through every aspect of my life with surgical precision. They check Emma's medical records on my phone, all up to date, thank God. They inspect her formula preparation, her clothes, her sleeping area. James photographs everything while Linda asks questions about my support system, my work schedule, my mental health history. Have you ever been treated for depression or anxiety, Ms. Chen? No. How about during pregnancy? Any postpartum concerns? I had some baby blues the first few weeks, but nothing serious. Who diagnosed that it was just baby blues? I realized the trap too late. I didn't see a doctor specifically about it. It went away on its own. Linda makes a note. Untreated postpartum mental health concerns. What about support with childcare? We understand your sister has been helping significantly. Elena squeezes my arm, a warning. My client appreciates family support when it's offered, but she's been Emma's primary caregiver since birth. Primary caregiver, James repeats, checking his notes. But Ms. Chen, we have information suggesting you've relied heavily on others for basic care tasks. Is that accurate? They've talked to Rebecca already. Of course they have. I've accepted help when offered, but Emma's never been left with anyone for longer than a few hours. What about overnight care? Never. Linda's phone buzzes again. She steps away to take a call, speaking in low tones I can't make out. When she returns, her expression is grim. Ms. Chen, I've just spoken with my supervisor. Given the concerns raised about your recent behavior and the family conflicts we've witnessed today, we're recommending that Emma be placed in emergency kinship care while we complete a full assessment. Kinship care? Elena asks sharply. Placement with family members. In this case, your sister Rebecca has volunteered to provide temporary care for Emma while we investigate. The room tilts. No. Absolutely not. Ms. Chen, this is the best possible outcome under the circumstances. Emma would stay with family who knows her, who's already been involved in her care. They planned this. The words explode out of me despite Elena's warnings. Rebecca and Derek orchestrated this entire situation so they could take Emma. I have proof. Linda and James exchange that look again. Elena closes her eyes briefly. Ms. Chen, Linda's voice becomes extremely gentle, the way you talk to someone having a psychotic break. I understand this is overwhelming. But these kinds of conspiracy theories are exactly why we're concerned about your mental state right now. Derek's voice carries through the door. Is Emma okay in there? We're ready to take her whenever you need us to. He's been waiting outside this whole time. They all knew exactly how this would end. Elena grabs my arm. Sarah, don't say another word about conspiracies. We need an emergency hearing to challenge this, but if you keep talking about plots and plans, you'll make it impossible for me to help you. Emma stirs in my arms, making soft baby sounds. In 2 hours, these strangers are going to hand my daughter over to the people who orchestrated her kidnapping. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. At 10:47 a.m., just as Linda starts explaining the paperwork for voluntary kinship placement, which sounds anything but voluntary, my phone rings with a call that changes everything. Sarah? This is Dr. Patricia Nguyen from Riverside Pediatrics. I just received a very concerning call from DCF about Emma's medical records. I put her on speaker at Elena's urgent gesture. What kind of call? Someone claiming to be Emma's aunt called requesting her complete medical file, saying there were concerns about missed appointments and potential neglect. But when I checked our records, Emma's been to every scheduled visit. Her vaccinations are current, her growth curve is perfect, and my notes show a very attentive, engaged mother. Linda's pen stops moving across her notepad. Dr. Nguyen continues, the caller seemed surprised when I told her this. She specifically asked about any emergency room visits or unusual injuries. When I said there weren't any, she insisted there had to be documentation of a knee injury from last week. My blood runs cold. The urgent care visit Rebecca mentioned in her text to Derek, the one where she planned to take Emma to get the bruise on record. Emma's tiny tumble that left a mark the size of a quarter, completely normal for a baby learning to sit up. Dr. Nguyen, did this person identify herself? Rebecca Hoffman. She said she was concerned because you seemed overwhelmed and possibly missing medical issues. But Sarah, in my 15 years of practice, I can tell you that Emma shows every sign of excellent care. She's well-fed, alert, properly dressed for the weather, and clearly bonded with you. Elena's eyes light up. Doctor, would you be willing to provide a written statement about Emma's medical care and your professional assessment of the mother-child relationship? Absolutely. And I should mention, this Rebecca person asked very specific questions about mandated reporting protocols. She wanted to know exactly what would trigger a DCF investigation from our office. Linda finally speaks. Dr. Nguyen, this is Linda Vasquez from DCF. Are you saying someone was attempting to manipulate medical records for reporting purposes? I'm saying someone called with a very specific agenda that didn't match the medical reality. Red flags went up immediately. James sets down his clipboard. Ms. Vasquez, perhaps we should contact the person who made the initial report before proceeding with placement. Before Linda can respond, Derek starts pounding on the door again. What's taking so long? We've been out here for 2 hours. Emma needs to be with people who can actually take care of her. But this time, Linda's expression has shifted. Mr. Hoffman, please step away from the door. We're conducting our investigation. Investigation? Sarah's clearly unstable. She broke into our house, she's making up crazy stories about us, and now she's probably feeding you the same paranoid nonsense. Elena stands up. Ms. Vasquez, I think it's time we discuss the evidence my client obtained regarding the motivation behind these reports. The evidence she stole, Derek shouts through the door. After breaking into our house like some kind of stalker. Mr. Hoffman, Linda calls out, I'm going to need you to come inside and answer some questions. The silence outside is immediate and absolute. Elena looks at me with something that might be hope. Sarah, very carefully, tell them about the text messages you found. Stick to facts, no interpretations. Emma's sleeping peacefully in my arms now, completely unaware that her entire future is being decided in my living room. Her little hand is wrapped around my finger, holding on with that fierce grip that babies have. I take a deep breath and pull out the printed screenshots I kept hidden. These are text messages between Derek and Rebecca from last week. Planning when to call DCF, discussing what evidence they needed, coordinating with their lawyer Marcus. Linda examines the papers, her expression growing more serious with each page. And this, I hand her the final screenshot, is Derek texting their lawyer at 11:23 last night, saying they needed to move up the timeline because I knew about their plan. James reads over Linda's shoulder. The timestamps on these messages predate your alleged break-in by several days. Outside my door, Derek's voice has gone very, very quiet. At 11:15 a.m., Linda makes the call that I've been dreading and hoping for simultaneously. Mr. Hoffman, I need you to step inside so we can discuss these documents. The door opens slowly, and Derek enters looking nothing like the confident man who's been shouting demands for the past 2 hours. His face is pale, his jaw tight, and his eyes dart between the papers in Linda's hands and Emma sleeping in my arms. Derek, I say quietly, where's Rebecca? She went home. She was upset about all this. He's lying, and we all know it. Rebecca's probably sitting in her car around the corner, waiting for the call that Emma's ready to be picked up. Linda spreads the printed text messages across my coffee table like she's dealing cards. Mr. Hoffman, can you explain these communications with your wife about building documentation for a CPS report? Derek glances at Elena, then back at Linda. I think I should call my lawyer. That's interesting, James says, looking up from his notepad. Because according to these messages, you've already been in contact with an attorney named Marcus Chin about gaining custody of Emma. Before any official concerns were reported to our department. Marcus is my cousin. We were worried about Sarah and Emma. We wanted to know our options if things got worse. Got worse how? Linda asks. Derek's composure starts cracking. Sarah's been struggling. She's young, she's broke, she can barely take care of herself, let alone a baby. We were trying to help, but she's been getting more and more paranoid and unstable. Elena leans forward. Mr. Hoffman, this message here from November 15th, that's yesterday, your wife wrote, lawyer says we need more documentation. What kind of documentation? I don't. I'd have to ask Rebecca about the specifics. How about this one? Elena points to another message. Got photos of the messy apartment today. Also that bruise on Emma's knee, taking her to urgent care tomorrow to get it on record. Can you explain what get it on record means? Derek's face flushes red. Rebecca was concerned about Emma's safety. She wanted medical documentation in case we needed it later. In case you needed it for what? Linda's voice has lost all its earlier gentleness. For custody proceedings, Derek says quietly. The admission hangs in the air like a toxic cloud. Emma shifts in my arms, making soft sleeping sounds that seem impossibly loud in the sudden silence. James sets down his pen. Mr. Hoffman, are you telling us that you and your wife were planning to seek custody of this child before making any reports to DCF? We were exploring options. That's not illegal. But calling in false reports to our department is, Linda says sharply. Dr. Nguyen's call raises serious questions about the validity of your concerns. Derek's phone starts ringing. The caller ID shows Rebecca. He stares at it for 3 rings before declining the call. I think, Elena says carefully, we should discuss what happens next. Because my client has been caring excellently for her daughter, as confirmed by Emma's pediatrician, while your clients appear to have been manufacturing a crisis to facilitate what amounts to legal kidnapping. That's not, we love Emma. We just want what's best for her. What's best for her, I say, my voice steadier than it's been all morning, is staying with her mother. The mother who's fed her every day, changed every diaper, stayed up every night when she was sick. Not the aunt who's been documenting her life like evidence in a crime scene. Derek looks at Emma sleeping peacefully in my arms, and for a moment something like shame crosses his face. Sarah, you have to understand. Rebecca's been trying to get pregnant for 4 years. When Emma was born, it was like she finally had the chance to be a mother. She didn't mean for it to go this far. She set up a nursery for my daughter in your house, I remind him. She changed Emma's last name to yours in her ultrasound frame. How far did she mean for it to go? Linda's phone buzzes with another call. She answers it, speaking in low tones, then hangs up with a grim expression. That was my supervisor. We've received 3 more calls this morning about this case. One from your mother, Mr. Hoffman, expressing concerns about the family situation. One from your neighbor, she nods toward Mrs. Patterson's direction, reporting ongoing disturbances. And one from Rebecca Hoffman, saying she's ready to take immediate custody of Emma for her safety. Derek closes his eyes. Rebecca called your supervisor directly? 20 minutes ago. She's currently in our parking lot, waiting with a car seat and prepared to take Emma home today. Elena stands up abruptly. Ms. Vasquez, given what we've discovered about the coordinated nature of these reports, I'm requesting that you suspend any placement decisions until we can get an emergency hearing scheduled. I agree, Linda says, surprising everyone. This case has taken a very unusual turn. My phone buzzes with a text from Rebecca. Sarah, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Emma deserves better than this chaos. The irony is suffocating. The chaos is entirely of her creation. At 11:47 a.m., just when I think we might actually be turning the corner, Rebecca walks through my front door like she owns the place. She doesn't knock. She doesn't wait for permission. She just uses the spare key I apparently forgot to ask for back and enters my apartment with the confidence of someone who believes she's about to become Emma's legal guardian. Oh good, everyone's here, Rebecca says brightly, as if she's arriving at a planned family meeting instead of barging into a DCF investigation. I brought Emma's things. She's carrying a diaper bag I've never seen before, expensive-looking leather with Emma's name embroidered in gold thread. Behind her, a woman in a business suit wheels in a car seat that probably costs more than my rent. Rebecca, Derek's voice is strained, maybe you should wait outside. Why? I'm here to take Emma home. She looks around the room, taking in Linda and James with their clipboards, Elena with her legal briefcase, me clutching Emma protectively. Has someone explained the temporary custody arrangement? Linda stands up slowly. Ms. Hoffman, I presume? We've been discussing your concerns about your niece. Thank God. When Derek texted that you were here, I knew Emma would finally be safe. Rebecca moves toward me with her arms extended. Come here, sweet girl. Aunt Becca's going to take such good care of you. Emma wakes up at the sound of Rebecca's voice and immediately starts crying. Not her hungry cry or her tired cry, this is pure distress. She arches away from Rebecca's reaching hands and buries her face against my chest. She's probably just overwhelmed, Rebecca says, but I catch the flicker of hurt in her eyes. Poor baby's been through so much chaos today. Actually, Elena speaks up, we've been reviewing the circumstances of your DCF report, and some concerning patterns have emerged. Rebecca's smile falters for just a second. What kind of patterns? Linda holds up the text message printouts. Communications between you and your husband about manufacturing evidence for custody proceedings. Attempts to manipulate medical records. Coordinated reports designed to create an appearance of crisis. The woman in the business suit, who I now realize must be Marcus Chin, steps forward. I'm Ms. Hoffman's legal counsel. These allegations are completely unfounded, and we're prepared to proceed with emergency custody placement as discussed. Discussed with whom? James asks sharply. With your department. We've been working with DCF for weeks on Emma's placement. Linda's eyebrows shoot up. Sir, our department has no record of any placement discussions prior to this morning's report. Are you claiming official coordination that doesn't exist in our files? Marcus and Rebecca exchange glances, and I see the moment they realize they've overplayed their hand. There must be some miscommunication, Rebecca says quickly. The important thing is that Emma needs stability, and Sarah clearly can't provide that. As if to contradict her, Emma stops crying the moment I start rocking her. She makes soft cooing sounds and grabs my finger, settling perfectly into the crook of my arm. She seems quite stable with her mother, Elena observes. Rebecca's mask finally slips completely. Her mother? Sarah's a child herself. She can barely afford formula, she's behind on rent, she has no education, no career prospects, no partner to help her. Emma deserves parents who can give her everything. Everything except her actual mother, I say quietly. I've been more of a mother to Emma than you have. Rebecca snaps, her careful composure finally cracking. I'm the one who knows what brand of diapers she likes, what songs calm her down, how she prefers to be held. You just happened to give birth to her. The room goes dead silent except for Emma's contented baby sounds. Derek puts his hand on Rebecca's arm. Beck, maybe we should. No. She shakes him off. I'm not leaving without Emma. She belongs with us. We planned for her, we prepared for her, we can give her the life Sarah never could. That has to count for something. Linda closes her notepad with a sharp snap. Ms. Hoffman, what counts is that Emma has a biological mother who's providing adequate care. What doesn't count is engineering a crisis to justify taking someone else's child. Rebecca's face crumbles, and for a moment she looks genuinely heartbroken. You don't understand. I've lost 4 pregnancies in 3 years. When Emma was born, it felt like maybe this was meant to be. Maybe this was how I was supposed to become a mother. But not by stealing someone else's baby, Elena says firmly. Emma chooses that moment to smile at me, her first real, genuine smile that's not just gas. It lights up her entire face, and she makes happy gurgling sounds that fill my chest with warmth. Rebecca sees it too. The recognition that Emma knows exactly who her mother is. And that's when she completely loses it. Rebecca's breakdown isn't the quiet, dignified kind you see in movies. It's raw and ugly and desperate, the sound of someone watching their carefully constructed world collapse in real time. She smiled at me first, Rebecca sobs, mascara streaming down her cheeks. 3 weeks ago, Emma's first smile was for me, not Sarah. I was feeding her while Sarah was at work, and she looked right at me and smiled. That meant something. Derek tries to put his arm around her, but she pushes him away violently. Don't touch me. This is your fault too. You said the lawyer guaranteed we'd get her. You said Sarah was too young and too poor to fight us. Marcus Chen looks like he wants to disappear into the floor. Rebecca, please don't say anything else without. Without what? Without admitting that we spent $8,000 on legal fees to steal my sister's baby? Rebecca turns to me, her face twisted with grief and rage. Do you have any idea what it's like to want something so desperately that you'd do anything to get it? Anything at all? Emma starts fussing again, picking up on the emotional chaos in the room. I bounce her gently, and she settles immediately against my chest. Such a simple thing, but it feels like proof of everything that matters. I know what it's like to want to protect your child from people who want to hurt her, I say quietly. Hurt her? Rebecca laughs bitterly. We were going to give her everything. Private schools, college funds, family vacations, a house with a yard. What can you give her? Government cheese and secondhand clothes? Linda steps between us. Ms. Hoffman, you need to leave. Now. This investigation is over, and there are no grounds for emergency placement. No. Rebecca's voice goes dangerously calm. I'm not leaving without Emma. I've been taking care of her for 6 weeks. I know her schedule, her preferences, her needs. Sarah barely knows how to change a diaper properly. That's not true, I start to protest, but Rebecca cuts me off. Isn't it? Who taught you how to make formula? Who showed you the right way to burp her? Who bought the thermometer when she had that fever last week? Each question hits like a physical blow because they're all true. Rebecca inserted herself into every aspect of Emma's care, positioning herself as the expert while making me feel incompetent. You manipulated me, I realize out loud. Every time you helped, you were actually undermining my confidence. Making me depend on you so you could claim I couldn't handle being a mother. Derek's phone starts ringing again. He glances at it and goes pale. It's your mom, Sarah. And I think Rebecca might have called her this morning. Of course she did. The final piece of their strategy, turn my own parents against me by convincing them I'm having a breakdown and Emma needs rescuing. Rebecca wipes her eyes, smearing mascara across her cheek. I called everyone who loves Emma. Your parents, Aunt Linda, even your old friend Jessica from high school. I told them you'd been struggling, that you broke into our house last night, that you were showing signs of postpartum psychosis. My phone immediately starts buzzing with texts. Mom, honey, please call me. Rebecca says you need help. Dad, Sarah, come stay with us until you feel better. Jessica, girl, what's going on? Rebecca says you're not okay? She's poisoned everyone against me, I whisper, watching message after message pop up on my screen. Elena grabs my phone before I can read any more. Sarah, don't respond to any of these right now. Rebecca, what you've done constitutes harassment and potentially criminal manipulation of government services. I've done what any reasonable person would do when they see a child in danger. Emma's not in danger. I explode, making Emma startle. She's never been in danger from me. The only danger she's ever faced is from you trying to steal her. Linda holds up her hand for silence. Everyone needs to calm down. Ms. Hoffman, you and your legal counsel need to leave immediately. Mr. Hoffman, you too. This investigation is concluded, and Emma will remain with her mother. Rebecca looks at Emma one last time, and I see something break in her eyes. She was supposed to be mine, she whispers. I dreamed about her before Sarah even got pregnant. I bought baby clothes and hid them in my closet for 2 years. When Sarah told us she was having a girl, I knew. I knew Emma was meant for us. The delusion runs deeper than I ever imagined. In Rebecca's mind, she didn't just want Emma, she believed Emma was already hers, stolen by biology and circumstance. As they finally leave, Rebecca pauses at my door one last time. This isn't over, Sarah. A good mother would want what's best for her child, even if that means giving her up. The door closes, but her words echo in my apartment like a threat. Because I know Rebecca Hoffman doesn't give up easily. And Emma's first smile may have been the beginning of this war, but it definitely isn't the end. 3 days after Rebecca and Derek's humiliating exit from my apartment, I thought the worst was over. DCF closed their investigation, Elena Rodriguez helped me file a restraining order, and Emma was sleeping peacefully in her pack-and-play like nothing had ever threatened to tear our world apart. I was wrong. The first sign something was off came Tuesday morning when I tried to pay for groceries at Shaw's. My EBT card declined. Not unusual, I'm always cutting it close with food stamps. But when I checked my account on my phone, my stomach dropped. My SNAP benefits had been suspended pending a fraud investigation. Ma'am, do you have another form of payment? The cashier asked, eyeing the line of impatient customers behind me. I had $23 in cash and a cart full of formula, diapers, and groceries that cost $67. Emma was strapped to my chest in her carrier, making hungry sounds that meant she'd need to eat in the next 30 minutes. Just, give me a second. I called the SNAP hotline with shaking hands, bouncing Emma to keep her calm. After 20 minutes on hold, with Emma now crying and other customers muttering complaints, I finally got through to a caseworker named Patricia. Ms. Chen, we received a report that you might not be the primary caregiver for the child listed on your benefits case. We need to verify living arrangements before we can restore your benefits. What kind of report? Anonymous tip through our fraud hotline. Someone claimed the child spends most of her time with relatives who aren't receiving benefits for her care. Rebecca. It had to be Rebecca. That's not true. Emma lives with me full-time. I understand, but we have to investigate all reports. Can you provide documentation of the child's residence? Pediatrician records, daycare enrollment, utility bills showing consistent occupancy? I had the pediatrician records, but everything else was complicated. My lease listed only me as a tenant. My utility bills were often past due. And Emma didn't go to daycare because I couldn't afford it. How long will this investigation take? 2 to 4 weeks, depending on our caseload. I hung up and stared at my cart full of necessities I couldn't buy. Emma's crying was getting louder, and I could feel other shoppers' judgmental stares burning into my back. That's when I noticed him. Derek, standing by the pharmacy counter, watching me struggle. He had his phone out like he was recording, documenting my inability to provide basic necessities for the child. Our eyes met across the store, and he didn't even try to hide what he was doing. He just smiled that cold, calculated smile and kept filming. I abandoned my cart and walked out with Emma still crying, my face burning with humiliation. But the SNAP benefits were just the beginning. That afternoon, I got a letter from my landlord, Mr. Kowalski. 3 noise complaints had been filed against me in the past week, all citing excessive infant crying at inappropriate hours. If I received 2 more complaints, my lease would be terminated. The complaints were signed by Mrs. Patterson from 2B, Mr. Williams from 3A, and someone named R. Chen from apartment 1C. There was no apartment 1C in my building. But there was a Rebecca Chen who apparently had unlimited time to sit in her car outside my building and call in fake noise violations. My phone rang as I was staring at the eviction warning. Unknown number. Ms. Chen? This is Jennifer Walsh from Mel's Diner. I need to discuss your employment status. My heart sank. What about it? We received some concerning information about your reliability and personal situation. A customer complained that you seemed distracted during your shift last Friday, and there are questions about whether your current living situation allows you to maintain consistent work performance. Jennifer, I've never had customer complaints before. Who said I was distracted? I can't reveal customer identities, but the complaint was very detailed. They mentioned you seemed emotionally unstable and were on your phone frequently during work hours. Last Friday. The day before DCF showed up. Rebecca and Derek had come into the diner during my shift, ordered coffee, and sat in my section for 2 hours. I thought they were being supportive. Instead, they were building yet another case against me. We're going to need to reduce your hours while we evaluate the situation, Jennifer continued. Maybe start you back at 2 shifts a week, see how things go. 2 shifts a week. Maybe $140 if I was lucky with tips. With my SNAP benefits suspended and rent due in 12 days, I was looking at complete financial collapse. After Jennifer hung up, I sat in my apartment holding Emma and trying not to panic. Rebecca wasn't just trying to take my daughter anymore, she was systematically destroying my ability to care for her. Death by 1,000 cuts, each one legal, each one deniable, all adding up to a mother who couldn't provide basic stability. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw you at Shaw's today. This could all stop if you just think about what's best for Emma. She deserves better than food stamps and eviction notices. That's when I realized Rebecca Hoffman wasn't done fighting for my daughter. She was just getting started. The breaking point came on Thursday when I found Rebecca sitting in my apartment. Not knocking. Not waiting. Just sitting on my couch like she belonged there, scrolling through her phone while Emma napped in her pack-and-play 20 feet away. How did you get in here? My voice came out as a whisper, but inside I was screaming. Mrs. Patterson let me in. She's very concerned about Emma's welfare, you know. All that crying at night, the chaos, the obvious neglect. Rebecca didn't even look up from her phone. I told her I was here to check on my niece. I moved immediately to Emma's pack-and-play, needing to put my body between them. Emma was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that her kidnapper was sitting 6 feet away. Get out. Sarah, honey, we need to talk. Really talk this time. Rebecca finally looked at me, and her expression was eerily calm. I know about the SNAP benefits. The job situation. The eviction notices. How long do you think you can keep this up? Every systematic attack on my life, and she was admitting to all of it. You did this. All of it. I'm trying to help you see reality. You're 22, broke, and barely surviving. Emma deserves. Emma deserves her mother. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Say it again, Rebecca. Tell me how you got my benefits suspended. How you called my work. How you filed fake noise complaints. Rebecca's calm mask slipped. Stop recording me. Why? Finally ready to admit what you've been doing. I've been saving Emma from a life of poverty and instability. Someone has to think about her future. By destroying mine? My voice was getting louder, and Emma stirred but didn't wake. You tried to steal my baby, and when that didn't work, you decided to systematically ruin my life until I had no choice but to give her up. Rebecca stood up abruptly. Give me that phone. No. She lunged for it, and I stumbled backward, bumping into Emma's pack-and-play. Emma woke up and started crying, and in that moment everything crystallized with perfect clarity. This woman was in my home, trying to physically take my phone, while my baby cried in terror. Not anymore. I kept recording while I dialed 911 with my free hand. I need police at 847 Elm Street, apartment 2A. Someone broke into my apartment and is threatening me and my infant. Hang up that phone right now, Rebecca hissed. You're making this so much worse for yourself. Worse than having my child stolen? Worse than losing my job in my home because you've been filing false reports? I picked up Emma, who immediately calmed against my chest. I don't think so. The police arrived in 4 minutes, Officer Martinez again, along with a partner I didn't recognize. By then, Rebecca had sat back down and composed herself, probably preparing some story about conducting a welfare check on her unstable sister. But I had 43 minutes of recorded audio on my phone. Rebecca admitting to the snap fraud report, discussing her coordination with Derek and Marcus, describing exactly how they planned to force me into surrendering Emma through financial pressure. Officers, I want to file charges for harassment, filing false reports, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Elena Rodriguez arrived 30 minutes later with a briefcase full of documentation, every text message, every false report, every systematic attack Rebecca and Derek had made on my life over the past 2 months. As they led Rebecca away in handcuffs, she turned back to me one last time. This won't make you a better mother, Sarah. Emma still deserves more than you can give her. Maybe, I said, bouncing Emma gently as she dozed in my arms. But she deserves her real mother most of all. The SNAP benefits were restored within a week. Jennifer at the diner apologized and gave me back my full schedule. Mr. Kowalski tore up the eviction notice after learning about the fraudulent noise complaints. Rebecca and Derek were both charged with filing false reports and conspiracy to interfere with custody. Their lawyer, Marcus, was sanctioned by the state bar for his participation in their scheme. 6 months later, Emma took her first steps in our tiny apartment while I cheered from the couch. She fell down, laughed, and crawled over to me for comfort, choosing her mother instinctively, the way she always had. My sister thought they could steal my baby from me. They were wrong.